Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for Daily D&T. So just as a reminder, we're playing with Tetraverse's 5.0 deck list that features a relatively stock main deck and a combo-heavy sideboard. See the deck tech on Monday for more detail. Alexa's We're going to keep a pretty good Ether Vial hand. Ah! Ha ha! Ha ha! We are playing against Vicarce's deck. That's awesome. So this is the Leyline of the Void Curse deck that I played, I think, Thursday on stream. The original version was made by Aurum, and then green? Or is that just, like, effectively colorless? Oh, never mind. JK, we're playing against Sylvan Plug. I mean, I'm still excited. Alright, Bug Sylvan Plug. And I think we're dead if I don't draw a land. I drew a land. Thank you. Like, very, very much appreciated. Alright, we shut off the Oko. Life is good. I don't know how much removal my opponent's deck has, but it's probably borderline 0. My opponent has a lot of mana. What can they do with it? Alright, no Ether Vial for me. Remember that playing online is different from playing in real life, in that you have the internet at your fingertips. So I know that in the most recent list, there was a Bug Sylvan Plug deck, and Matt Soul was playing it. So let's just take a look and consider what we need to name with Revoker. Probably just the Mox. So, like, there's other things with activated abilities here, but the Mox slowing down my opponent's mana is probably fine. This thing can fight, right? So Polukranos is removal, Abrupt Decay is removal. So that's all good to know. We're going for my opponent's life total this game, because if my opponent draws removal for Revoker, my opponent says, what a game. Yeah, this one's been very swingy. Yeah, I'm glad I'm recording. So we're going for my opponent's life total. We're trying to close out this game before my opponent can draw into some good stuff. So my opponent has these Ancient Tombs that are relatively costly for them to use. So, for example, we can nug this Dryad Arbor, just make it so that we can't cast any spells right now, attack in for 4, put my opponent to 4, and make it very hard for them to tap these lands. So another cute thing is that my opponent has this food to gain life, but awkward, right? So like that's technically life gain, but it's a net of 1. So you have to remember this is off. So I'm going to port them off of colored mana. I leave them with more colorless mana, but they're going to need both colored mana and single green creature to play with that. So Titania is something they could have, but that's double green. Polukranos is both green and black. So like they can find it, but they probably can't draw any cards with Sylvan Library if they're also going to have the mana to do something reasonable. Nice. What a roller coaster of a game, folks. So we're playing against Sylvan Plug. Graveyard isn't unused by opponent, but it's also not like their primary thing. So I'm definitely going to want these Council's Judgments. I'm definitely going to want the Pithing Needle for Oko. My opponent is playing 3 basic lands. Path may or may not be an upgrade. And Cataclysm is something that I can think about, but I'm not sure. It's good against Oko. But my opponent plays a whopping 26 lands plus 4 other mana sources in Mox Diamonds. So I don't know that I'll rebuild faster than they will. My opponent has mostly creatures and Green Suns that I'm worried about. Like, there's not too many at any one converted mana cost that probably it's going to stop. Like, Library is going to come down before. The first Abrupt Decay will be used before this, probably. So I think I'm going to junk that. My Jitte is of limited utility. Like, it's good at picking off Dryad Arbor, but that's basically it. Otherwise, a lot of their creatures are just big. Is it Thalia? I'm thinking something like this. The other thing I could do is trim a Swords to Plowshares. But my opponent has a couple of like things that I really, really, really want to answer. So I think I want to keep the ability to answer my opponent's stuff. If my opponent plays turn 2 Oko, I have Revoker for it, and I'm a happy boy. That's awkward for me. So my opponent is going to get to like draw some extra cards out of this. I can maybe answer it next turn if I don't play my Thalia. So I'm going to go ahead and play Revoker here. We'll preemptively name Oko. Are you seeing the pattern? And we'll go from here. Yeah. So in case you're not familiar with this card, you can play the top card of your library if it's a land, and when you play a land, you gain a life. That's a tempting trade, but I'm not going to take it. I know my opponent has Ancient Tomb, so they're going to get pretty far ahead in terms of the mana war quickly. So I just need to try and eliminate some of their threats and force them to use the decay on this Revoker at some point. Very much not favored at this stage. Yikes. I mean, at least it isn't on human. We'll need to destroy this card at some point. Recurring Plague Engineers is bad for me. I have no resources to speak of as of right now. This Thalia doesn't do much. I don't want to use this Council Judgment to answer this. I want to keep this for something like an Oko in particular, or some other big creature that threatens a lot of impact on the game. Many of them are legendaries, so the Caracas will help me answer them. So if I whiff on my turn, I might have to just... Yeah, see, like that represents a big scary creature. I might have to, like, begrudgingly Council's Judgment the Plague Engineer. But I would, like, super not be happy about it. Pretty happy about that exchange. We tap down the Ancient Tomb to perhaps try to minimize... yikes, oof, coming. Hopefully my opponent shuffles. Because my equipment is one of my major ways back into this game. Awkwardly, they might just Green Sun for that immediately. Stoneforge is a pretty hot draw. Assuming my opponent doesn't Green Sun for oof. I just, like, file in Stoneforge, get Jitte, play equip Jitte, attack in, sit on some Jitte counters. But we'll see what terrible, awful, horrible thing happens to me off of this Green Sun. That Wasteland's actually pretty bad for me. Yeah, that's also bad. I can bounce the Titania, but that's not exactly a good long-term plan due to how that card works. So in case you're not familiar with this one, ETB, you return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and whenever a land is put from the graveyard to the battlefield, you make an elemental. So unfortunately, I do need to exile that. And probably get run over in process. Great. Great. So I exile the Titania, my Thalia gets bounced. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. I am dead. But my opponent might not do it. Play towards that line. So I guess I'm technically not dead this turn. Because if my opponent bounces the Thalia, I can redeploy it off of my pile. So, destroy your Caracas. You bounce Thalia. I put it back in. I live through this turn. Also, I didn't do the math, but I think my opponent could have just had me dead with a line that involves them drawing Oko off the top of their library. Like, use Volrath Stronghold, draw a card, off Waterloo Grove, tap Ancient Tomb, turn Aether Vial. No, I guess that doesn't quite work. What if I do this? I take 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, go to 2, take a creature off the board. I think this is better than chump blocking, but I'm probably going to need, like, Palace Jailer into Flicker Wisp to get back into this game. And, like, my opponent can just play Oko this turn, create a food, have one more body for me to deal with next turn. I'm hoping they don't see that line. Have I also caused trouble for myself involving the Volrath Stronghold? I didn't do that math. So, effectively 3 mana, put it on top. No, I think they're 1 short of doing that. I've already wastelanded the Caracas because it just, like, potentially represented my immediate death. Well, my long-term prospects are pretty bad now. Palace Jailer for the Elemental into drawing Flicker Wisp just to survive a lethal attack is a good short-term answer. I can also get Recruiter for Jailer, and that's pretty good, but then just like the Plague Engineer comes off the top on humans, and that's devastating. Maybe I should have blocked the Dryad Arbor and gone to 1 instead. I mean, I'm in a losing position. That much is very obvious. Another green sun is bad. Just like a Marin or a Polukranos. Whatever it is probably legendary, so I have that going for me. And Council Judgment and Elemental bounce whatever legendary creature this is. I guess the worst worlds for me are the worlds where my opponent actually just grabs a Reclamation Sage and blows up my Vial. That eliminates a huge number of my outs to stay alive. So if I were the opponent, my line would be play Green Sun for X equals 3. And also draw the Oko off the top. Okay, we'll scoop it up there. Forgot about Oof, yeah. So they could have done it for X equals 2, shut off the artifacts, and also have drawn the Oko to have that for the next turn. Definitely ran into some trouble with our own Thalia there. I don't think we have too many options in terms of like changing up our configurations or anything. Yeah. Vial's really good. Having multiple answers to, like, Okos is strong. And having a Wasteland to destroy my opponent's first, like, Soul Land or something like that is also quite good. We are 100% at the mercy of our deck, though, this game. So if the deck is not kind to us, I can't do a lot. I don't care too much about that. I'm not even going to show the Wasteland yet to allow my opponent to play around it better. Please don't oof me. I don't want to have to Council's Judgment and oof. I'll do it. I will. But I don't want to have to do it. That's getting Council's Judgmented. It's also getting Council's Judgmented off of a Wasteland to potentially set up a double Wasteland turn for the next turn cycle. That's fine. What are you going to do with it? You have given me a 3/3. I accept. I don't know how good of a line that actually is. I will remove the Oko this turn. That card's good. We will remove that. I will Wasteland my opponent. I will attack for 3 with the creature my opponent so graciously gave me. Tap this. Yes. Put in a Thalia. We have a good chokehold here going in terms of mana, while also having a good amount of pressure. Not sure what I'll do with my Vial. I have more 3s than 2s to hit. But I have no immediate need to play a 3-drop. Like, there's not like a super line where I absolutely need Flicker Wisp on the next turn cycle or anything like that. So I will probably leave the Vial at 2. Ooh, hold up. It's awkward. So my opponent can block and then activate Reclaimer and turn that into a 3/4. So I guess no attacks this turn. So while my opponent is tapped out, I do think I need to take this opportunity to destroy their wasteland and keep them choked on mana. It's awkward because that means that I can't play the Sword of Fire and Ice that's in my hand, and that would allow me to start attacking again. But keeping my opponent choked on mana is very strong. That's annoying. But it named... actually, everything has turned out fine. We're going to leave this at 2 still. We're not going to play that. On my next turn, I will tick this up to 3. Bluff a Revoker here, see if my opponent activates this. Feels more like they have an Abrupt Decay available to them. If they have the Decay, they should use it right now, in my opinion. Just like while it's safe, while I don't have Flicker Wisp available. That's very good. That's very, very good. But I think I'm losing the sword here. I still think it's a forced play. So my opponent, if they have the Decay, is playing towards me attacking so they can get both this Vial and the sword. But, like, what a blowout if I had Flicker Wisp. So I think this is totally greedy. So you might be wondering, Phil, if you suspected they have the decay so much, why are you even attacking? Great question, Timmy. The reason is because I have this Mirran Crusader to ambush my opponent's creatures if they go and attack. And if I get to take out either the Reclaimer or the Plague Engineer, I guess if I get to take out the Plague Engineer mid-combat, that's incredibly strong for me. Yep. Just finished talking about that. Yeah, so I think that was a very questionable play from my opponent, but they at least recognize that. Yep. See if my opponent repeats what they did before and just try to shut off my vial. What? Dude, do you know what this card does? Do you know? Do not understand. You've already gotten your Tabernacle, which is probably the scariest silver bullet for me. If they're playing Matt Soul's list, I don't see another thing that I'm particularly scared of. Like, I can get a Dryad Arbor, turn it into a 3/3. They can get an Ancient Tomb to try to play towards a big mana play. They can get a Caracas to bounce a legendary creature if I draw one. Yep. That's the line I would have taken. I have no out to Crusader. GG. GG. So, in case opponent ends up watching this video later this week, you did have an out to Crusader. Your out was don't throw away the Plague Engineer and then draw a second Plague Engineer. 2 Plague Engineers on humans is a backdoor out to Crusader. But GG, and I'll be back for tomorrow with more daily D&D.